Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. South Africa's recently released draft Mineral and Petroleum Resource Development Amendment Bill has further distanced itself from international best practice. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
Now, what is mining lawyer Peter Leon most concerned with in the draft amendments?
Yeah, it's this vagueness and uncertainty again, which has been plaguing our legislation, you know, from the late 90s. And it's just a way of frightening away investment. Now, if you want investment and you want to get those minerals turned to account, you've got to have certainty, because the mining is such a long-term business. You know, it's not 5 or 10 years, it's 15, 20-year business. So this vagueness, this uncertain language, it's just been amplified, you know, and the promise was that it would be taken out. And this is the second promise. I mean, I can remember the previous Minister, Boyelwa Sanjika, telling the Indaba that she was going to streamline the legislation. Now, you know, we've got Susan Shabangu also trying her best to try and fix up this legislation. But, you know, Tony Leon has been a watcher of it, sorry, Peter Leon, I'm mixing him up with his brother, has been a watcher of this, careful watcher for so long, and, you know, he's saying it's deteriorating. So the hope is that because it's still a draft, you know, it could be corrected before it goes to Parliament, but it's absolutely essential, you know, if we want our people to benefit from the minerals in the ground, you need that investment. You know, it's a joke, like the Central African Republic, calling it a minerals-rich country. It can be minerals-rich but mining poor. You know, it's no good leaving this stuff in the ground. It's just potential. So again, we minerals-rich, we need to be mining strong. And if we can, you know, extract these and then do things with them in the country, it's going to be for the benefit of all. It costs money. And unless you have that legislative framework, it is so important. People, the shareholders, you know, won't give the backing for any company to commit large amounts of money, which means that that value will be sterilized in the ground. It helps no one.
Now, Peter Leon also gave Botswana as a prime example of how to do things correctly. What could South Africa learn from our neighbour?
Well, you know, you've got South Africa here, which is a far bigger country and far more experienced with, you know, more than 100 years of mining. It should be teaching Botswana, you know, about the certainties. Instead, Botswana is held up as a paragon of certainty. and when you go there, you can see the response of the juniors. You know, the juniors are the ones that come in early and they firm things up and then they sell off to the majors. There are a lot of juniors, very happy juniors in Botswana. And they, to me, they go out of their way to actually help the country because they like the legislative framework. You know, you get that positive vibe that they want to do their best for Botswana. You know, they want to list in Botswana. They want to do everything in their power to help Botswana. And you find that cooperation, the minister, the minerals minister, he goes and sees them and says, look, you know, how are you doing? You know, are we facilitating you enough? You know, what can we do to assist you? That sort of cooperation, you see it in Botswana. And along with the certainty, and also a certainty for juniors, you know, that when they explore, someone doesn't take it away from them, which is a shocking thing to a prospect to have. And then the timelines are better. You know, they don't put the timelines in the legislation, which is always the best thing. Of course, you should put it in law. They don't do that, so, but they try and limit the time for, you know, applications for prospecting licenses. They give themselves 60 days. And they really do their best to make sure that they hit that target. Whereas in South Africa, our timelines are longer, and we're honouring them in the breach. You know, we're just not meeting those timelines. So there are a lot of things that have to be dealt with in South Africa, and hopefully, you know, we can go into Parliament with a better draft, with a draft that reflects best practice, so that we can think of the investment that can follow. And not to say, no, we will correct this in the regulations. That's really the wrong way to do it. You know, you don't want the regulations to wag the legislative or the tail, the regulatory tail, or the regulations tail to wag the dog that is the act. You know, rather have the act solid, and then you can put in the regulations that assist even further. So we're holding thumbs.
Now, the vagueness of the new bill ignores the counsel of the NPC. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think that's an important point. You know, a lot of people are rallying around the National Development Plan. The mining minister has committed herself to the development plan, the National Development Plan, and so you have business also committing itself to this National Development Plan. But it's no good, you know, just having lip service. You know, the plan says there must be certainty, the vagueness must be taken out, it must be investor friendly, otherwise you're not going to get the investment. And so I think they must follow that now, because that was accepted at Mangaung. It's widely accepted in government and business circles. Not all Labour accepts it, but there is quite a lot of acceptance for it. So I think from a legislative point of view, they should follow that guideline, that you create certainty, get rid of the vagueness, there's less discretionary powers, and you make sure that you give certainty to investors who are going to invest long term.
Well, thank you very much, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Shannon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insight into what's happening in the mining world.